Hey everybody, CBQ here, back with another edition of How It Works, in which we dive into how our product works in greater detail, giving you the knowledge you need to make sure that autonomous mowing works for you. Today we're going to be talking about encoders and how one of the components that we upfit on this mower, the encoder, helps us with the autonomous mowing. So first of all, in definition, what is an encoder? An encoder is an electromagnetic device that simply converts angular or motion into a digital signal that can be read. Now, there are two types of encoders. There's absolute and relative. Absolute are generally used in a lot of machining and or industrial automated setting where they're very specific about how many times and where they started from initial start point. Relative just means it's going to be counting those ticks and can be used in situations like we have. Ours is an absolute. Now this encoder exists on this mower. You can see it here. It's this yellow disc. Now this is a quadrature encoder, which means if you look at the teeth of it, it is jagged and has a square rise and square fall, which means that we can read it 4 times every sort of read revolution. And we use this to determine the speed of the wheel. Now, why do we do that? And how do we do that? The why is actually interesting. In robotics, in order to get really good, precise control, we need to know how fast the wheel is moving. The encoder gives us that data. It's simple math. If we know that our encoder has, say, 480 ticks, we also know the wheel diameter. We can simply find via math 2 pi times the radius, which is half the diameter of this, and we can find out how many times our distance travel per tick, and we calculate that number, so then we can do some speed calculations. Now, it's not as super accurate as, say, an absolute sort of rotary sensor shaft installed encoder, so we do have to do a little bit of a math, and in our system basically is reading a running average. Now that does make it tricky, but hey, we're used to lots of dirty sensors on this mower and putting them all together to enable autonomous mowing, so not entirely new to us. So how does it actually work? Well, there is a Hall effect sensor, and those are pretty off the shelf that you can get, that's reading the information from these encoder reads. It can go both forward and backward. It translates that into a digital signal. We have some microcontrollers on the system reading at a very high rate that are doing nothing but reading that and calculating an estimated velocity and trying to do it with making sure that any sort of encoder dropouts due to bumps or lag or anything like that don't affect the system and cause it to do too much drifting and deciding where it is. So that encoder definitely helps our system to maintain a good velocity. It helps us with wheel speed to know how fast we're turning, to keep those straight lines, and to execute near perfect Y turns. So that's the encoder. That's how it works. Please let me know in the comments what other systems or components you'd like to see. I'd love to dive into more on how it works. Let us know in the comments. What do you want to know? Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.